Hello and welcome back to another video. Now on YouTube there are certain things that one cannot say within the first 7 seconds of a video, so I'm avoiding saying very certain things up front, shall we say. Even to the point where there's certain words on this video, which we'll come to in a moment, where there are words on screen and YouTube tends to pick up on any... Okay, well, we're past 7 seconds. YouTube tends to pick up on any... Somehow it picks up on anything that's said... Sorry, anything that's spoken. Just it's phenomenal how it does it. How they have the technology to do that, and then just get a load of bots, trying to deal with you on various aspects of things on their Team YouTube account, because they're absolutely bloody useless. I don't know. So we have here. Now I was drawing attention to this. Obviously, this is Darius Truxton we're talking about. I long since, well, a few months ago, stopped putting up with this crap because. I say for some time he seemed to be a decent guy to have a laugh with, and then just turned into an absolute complete aerosol. He really did. I made a video about him, call it the truth about Darius Truxton, but now we have the real truth about Darius Truxton, it appears. Maybe I'll call it that, this video. And he's just to the point where I was talking normally. He sounded like he'd been through a tough time. The long and the short of that short video I made was he sounded like he'd been through a tough time, and I was sort of trying to offer him some sort of help, etc. via Twitter, via DMs. He just told me to F off, basically. And not in a funny way. He just told me to F off. So and he'd done that once before. I just thought, okay, give him a bit of space. Went back and he did it again. I thought, right, well, fuck you. Fuck you, you twat. And so I had no time for him. I just blocked him on all social media and his multiple stupid accounts. And one of these videos, he's been harassing this woman. So there are three videos to this thing. Did I say? I was drawn to this video by Hammock Man. Sorry, I forgot your name there for a second. And he pointed out to a tweet by Retro Bro. I'm not going to bring up the tweet. Retro Bro blocked me on his usual Twitter account, so I had to go elsewhere to find it to make sure I had the right channel. And I got part 1 of this video. I watched all 3 parts before making this. Now I'll just say she's called Sully and the Beef. The kind of thing she normally does is make videos about her cat. I was watching one briefly. Where was it now? Because you never find the video that you want. Anyway, you get the idea. She will have the look here. She takes the cat out with her everywhere she goes.
Large coffee, 2 cream, 2 sweetener, please. All right, Beefy. Let's see if your friends are here on a Saturday.
So the cat doesn't get time to sit at home watching TV. He has to go everywhere she goes. She obviously dotes on the cat, and that's very nice to see. I like cats, but I don't really want them crawling all over me and licking me. It's not particularly hygienic. But we'll get into what Darius has been up to and how it reminds me of a similar situation to mine. Not what Darius has been doing, but basically being an incel, basically. I said basically twice now. That was the 3rd time. Let's get into it. And so here's why I didn't put this first image on the screen at the very start. Because it says, trigger warning, story involves a certain type of harassment. That'd be one thing that YouTube would quickly pick up on. So, I mean, YouTube just falls over the drop of a hat and just claims anything as... it's got an ad suitability problem. You can't have adverts on your video because there's something wrong with the video. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the video. I put gameplay videos up, and it suddenly says, "Oh, there's a problem with this," and you've got to get a human. I presume they've got a human to actually manually review it, and then they look at the video, and it's perfectly fine. But the system's just broken. In fact, as I made a video the other day about how YouTube's copyright system is completely broken because it's worth a watch on the video, but it's just basically coming up with saying your gameplay video matches these particular songs. The sound on the video was almost silent. It was just it was like some sort of fighting game on the Spectrum, and it was just literally the sound was as people hit each other. That was it. So yeah, it's worth watching that just to see how broken the stupid system is. But yeah, we'll see. We'll go through this video, but you'll see what he's been up to basically. Oh, of course, I could have faffed around and made my video a vertical video, so you can watch it on your phone vertically. But these kind of videos I make, these sort of vlogs, they're not intended to be watched. You can just listen to them as you go for a walk or a run or whatever. Yeah, you don't have to look at the screen. And besides, if I put it on as a normal landscape thing, then you can have the subtitles on properly without it causing an issue. Because I put the subtitles on when she speaks, just in case the voices are a little bit faint compared to mine, or in case there's any problems with the audio. But yes, it's on full volume for her, so that's the way we go.
Hi, beefy besties. I should warn you right from the beginning that I apologize. This is not going to be a beef video. The next video or two may not be beef videos, depending how long it takes me to say what I have to say. However, I promise that I will always continue to make beef content. But there is a reason that I am going to make this post here and share it with all of you. The situation I have been dealing with for many years has now, unfortunately, come to the beef world. Beef content is now being taken and used. Some of my personal details, like my full name, is being shared online. I'm not even sure where to begin. God, so I guess trigger warning. This may be a crazy story. This may be long.
That's obviously the story of a crazy individual, Darius Truxton. I didn't have him being this crazy on my bingo card for 2024. But the reason why I sort of say it partly rings true with me, because there's an individual. I'm not going to name him. I can't name him properly. As much as I'd love to name him. I mean, I'm not going to name. And please, in the comments, don't mention. Obviously, first name's Keith. Darius' his name. I don't normally mention someone's name if they don't go by their real name on YouTube, but I'm only using the first name, which she's put in the title. So please don't put his surname in the comments, because it's only just going to get removed. I might just put it in I might put his surname in the banned word list, so it won't show up anyway. So please don't do that, because it's not going to make it to air, as they say. But it sort of reminds me of this individual. A guy who, his first name is Rob, I can say that, goes by the name Rodney McPlum, and he's been stalking me. This is a post I put on my website a while back and updated it. I've updated it along the way. You can, if you look up Rodney McPlum on my website, you can see it. He's still, trying to get the police to sort this out. He still stalks me to this day via various accounts. And even if you get one account shut down, he just creates new ones. And Twitter do nothing about it. I mean, God, if you thought Twitter was bad under Jack Dorsey, it's even worse under Elon Musk. Or at least Elon Musk has done one thing in getting rid of automated accounts. Okay, it's a bit annoying that there's one called Roast Him Jim, which is quite amusing. But accounts like that have gone because they're just automated, and they're not having any automated accounts. But Elon immediately sacks anyone who actually deals with reports, bar maybe one or two people. Because if you two write something really, really, I can't say the words. If you wrote certain things on Twitter, then they would deal with that. You can imagine in 2024 the kind of things that people would post which would actually get removed. But all kinds of other things, they just let it slide and say there's no problem, nothing to see here. In fact, you report it, and you get an email saying, "Thank you. Thank you for your report. We are now opening an investigation." Blah 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 blah. And then immediately you get another email saying, "We have concluded our investigation and found there was no problem. Nothing to see here." So the bot literally opens and closes it in one fell swoop. It's just fucking shit, that is. So, even if you try and block an individual like that, it's no use whatsoever, because they just create another account. So nothing you can do about it. And I just, given how much Twitter is falling apart, I just hope that it just goes down. But Twitter, the only thing Twitter's good for is sort of trending news topics, and even then the trending is a curated list and not what's necessarily actually trending. And I've never understood, for example, why hashtags don't always automatically populate. For example, just a slight aside this, but if I'm watching, say, Jeremy Vine on Channel 5, just a morning chat show, you write a tweet and you hashtag Jeremy Vine, and sometimes you can put part of the word or the name and it fills it in for you. Then all of a sudden, a bit later on in the program, you might make another tweet and it doesn't auto-populate. It's just not filling in at all. And it comes up with, say, through JER, it comes up with anything but Jeremy Vine after that. Why does that happen? Answers on a postcard, please. Don't tweet me about it because it probably won't come through. Yeah, no idea. So anyway, that's who this guy reminds me of, or who Darius has basically become Rodney McPlum, because Rodney McPlum. Well, I think as long as I've got it in that post, I'm not going to go through the whole post here. He's been basically stalking me since October 2009. Many years ago, I tried doing stand-up comedy. It wasn't. It was a bit of a laugh at times. It wasn't a laugh at other times because you just got an audience who were just terrible. They just didn't go with you on it, and it was just more a chore than anything. But I met a few decent people along the way, a couple of arseholes as well. And anyway, somehow he just happened to be, even though he lives down south, he happened to be in the audience for this somehow. And it all began from there, and he's just completely latched onto me. And I don't know, and I can't stop it. So, and yeah, as of this October 2024, it will be 15 years. And 15 years is how long Darius Truxton, or aka Keith, has been harassing this lady. Let's continue.
And it is about sexual harassment. I understand some things in this story may not make sense right away, but I promise all of the details will when I'm done. This story is that I have been sexually harassed by an absolute lunatic for 15 years. I'm going to go right to the beginning. Personal information about me: I've been a long-time retro game collector and retro collectible collector. I don't take it very seriously. I do have a large collection, but I don't take it very seriously. I buy as I see. I buy what I like. I've been collecting for well over 20 years. This information is relevant. When I was about 20, I had a friend group. And of course, in every friend group, there's friends of that friend group. And all of my friends, of course, knew that I was a gamer and that I really enjoyed my games. So,
I mean, it's good that there is some good things about retro gaming, and that some of the people are decent people. There are a number of people that are complete arseholes, like Paul Andrews from Retro Games Limited, I think they're called. The ones who've done this Atari 400 Mini, who I made a video about them and him, just completely fucking bunch of lunatics. Most of the people involved in the ZX Spectrum Next, I made a video about them. Complete arseholes. Why? Why do they have to be like that? Why do some people just have to be absolute cunts? They really are. God knows why. Why can't everyone just get along?
A friend of mine had mentioned that they had a friend in their friend group who was also into games and stuff, and this friend started hanging around with the friend group more. This guy in the friends group name was Keith. At the time, Keith seemed completely fine. We were both in our early 20s. Like I said, I was about 20 years old. He was a Sega Genesis collector, which was awesome. I am more of a Sony and Nintendo collector. I like a lot of old school RPGs. I like a lot of the original stuff I grew up with. So Keith and I naturally had something in common within our friend group. And of course, when our friends got together, we would chat. Over time, Keith had mentioned that he had worked at this restaurant and that the restaurant a couple days a week would close very late. Back then, there was no buses on that schedule, so he ended up having a very difficult time getting home. I happened to live closer to that restaurant, so Keith had eventually asked if he shot me a few bucks a month, if twice a week he could crash on my couch. This was a very short-term arrangement.
Even when he seemed like a decent guy, I'm not sure he's the kind of person I'd want sleeping in my house anyway.
Keith only crashed on my couch for maybe 3 months. He was nothing but respectful while he was in my home. I was dating at the time, and I started to do financially better, so our arrangement ended, and it ended peacefully. I went on my way, Keith went on his way, and we never really talked since. Years go by, maybe 3 years. 4 years. And then I started getting friend requests. Oftentimes, the profiles would be made to look as if it could be potentially somebody I knew in this.
I'll just say this Robbie McPlum, sometimes he goes quite a few months without contacting me in any way. And and then he just starts up again as if he's just like someone's just put 4pence in the meter. And he just shoots off and doesn't stop. And in between harassing me, when he goes away for a while, how many other people is he harassing? And that could be the same with Darius. How many other people is he harassing? He's obviously got nothing better to do. It sounds like, she mentions he loses one job. It sounds like he hasn't got any job. And he just sits, he just sits at home most of the time. So he could be harassing all kinds of people day in, day out.
City we lived. I am a private person. Of course, I don't accept friend requests from just anyone. So I would just shoot a message and saying, hey, do I know you? Have we met? And they would message back. I would get explicit messages. I would get sent various dick pics. The scary part of these...
This is interesting in a way. Why do men send dick pics? Why? Unless you're incredibly well hung, it's just going to end up looking like the last turkey in the shop. It is not an attractive thing for anyone to look at. Apart from me, of course, mine's massive. But no, seriously though, why would you think, oh, this is the least attractive part of my body? I think if I take a picture of this and send it out over the internet, it's going to make them think, wow, God Almighty, got to have that in my life, haven't I? No, they're just going to point and laugh. Why do people send it? Good God.
Messages was that this person clearly knew who I was, knew where I was, how he fantasized about me, how he wanted to be with me, how he seemed to get off on sending me his nudes.
Ew.
And that became kind of unnerving. Some of the messages started to make me think that I potentially had a stalker. These weren't messages that continued on for about 6 months. These were messages that have now continued on for in and around 14, 15 years.
It's just, again, like, I nearly said his name then, but Robbie McPlum. I have to keep the sort of tab open at the top there just to remind myself what name to actually say. Before I end up saying his proper name and have to edit it out. But just 14, 15 years. That's where I'm up to with this one. Just, what the fuck is going wrong in people's heads? Have they got some sort of? They've obviously got some sort of mental deficiency. But what are they missing in their lives? Or they're missing something in their brain that makes them act like a normal person.
As the messages continued over the years, and as the messages progressed over the years, there was a consistent feeling through the messages that this person knew who I was, that this person was clearly obsessed with me and got enjoyment off sending me explicit photos of himself. As a woman, this was very scary for me, as again, this didn't continue on for a couple months. This continued on for years. This literally started over the years to make me feel sick. This started over the years to make me feel afraid. I didn't know if This was a person who was watching me, stalking me, clearly obsessed with me. I didn't know if one day I was going to go out and get R word. I didn't know if I was going to...
I don't know what that means, R word. Unless that's just... I didn't know I was going to get R word. Is that like a... try and Google it at the same time. Is that like... Hang on, bear with me. No, I just tried a quick look, but it doesn't seem to bring anything up unless it's just the automated subtitles don't quite pick it up either. If you know, as long as it's not rude, post a comment in the comments below.
I get attacked. I didn't know if there was some guy sitting in a bus stop somewhere, taking photos of me, following me. I had no fucking idea. Yes, I went to the police several times. I would show them the messages. They would just tell me to, block, delete, create a new profile. But of course, none of that would ever stop the harassment. And at the end of the day, why did I have to live in fear and not enjoy the things I enjoy? Because there's a fucking lunatic. At what point did my safety or my fear for my safety ever become present? The problem was that...
This is a strange thing. What's a strange thing with stalkers? What is it about them that makes them think, in my case with mine, that I'm worth stalking? I'm just a normal guy making videos, making gameplay videos, just living a normal life. Well, I mean, obviously with stalkers, they don't get out of the house. I know, for example, my stalker never seems to leave his flat, and by the sounds of it, he's a raging alcoholic, so I just hope he drinks himself into an early death. Sadly, it's not soon enough. He's still breathing. What I'd give for him not to be breathing. But his family don't want anything to do with him. Completely estranged from his any of his family members, and he's got a child. He's completely estranged from them. So, just it's just sad. They just it's like they have to latch onto someone, and then there's never any reason why they're doing it. They're just doing it. It's just, I mean, he could just come on down. He obviously knows where I live because he's, well, I mentioned that in my post before. And he could just come on down and we'll have it out like men. But no, he won't do that. He'll just happily sit in his bedsit and just type away. Wanker.
Until this person was saying, I am following you, nobody gave a shit. So this continued for years and years and years. Sometimes it would happen every couple of weeks. Sometimes it would happen every couple of months. Sometimes I wouldn't hear anything for a year. A year would go by and I would think maybe this guy has finally stopped harassing me. And because it was messages and pictures over the internet, it was always just an assumption that, well, it's the internet. I should also point out that I was married throughout this entire time with children. I was married for 14 years. That didn't stop this person. There was a point where the messages started in full force again. I should mention that there was new pictures every single time. Each picture this person ever sent me was a new picture. So there was...
Obviously that's nude picture, but the subtitles don't quite pick up everything.
A point where I had started saving messages, I had started saving pictures. I really wanted there to be a paper trail just in case. So I had saved several years of the messages and the pictures to start creating a paper trail of what was happening, just in case. Somebody that was dangerously obsessed, somebody that was stalking me. I just wanted to make sure that there was something. Of course, the messages never stopped.
Now we get on to part 2 of a 3-part video. Not quite sure why she's uploaded it in 3 parts. Maybe she's doing it. I know she's obviously put this on TikTok because it says TikTok there. Maybe there's a 7-minute or thereabouts limit on TikTok. I have no idea. I don't really use it, but no one cares what I have to say on TikTok, that's for sure. So anyway, here we go, part 2.
I hit a point where I'm like, I'm gonna find out who the fuck this is. I was so sick and tired of this for going on for so many years. It had been at least a decade probably by this point. First of all, I'm a woman. I have more skills than the FBI. So I was going to find out who this was. The police weren't going to help me because
Well, I mean, obviously the FBI, all they can do is just sit about and drink coffee all the time. That tends to be what police do.
This guy hadn't overtly threatened.
Well, and if they're police in the UK, they also go out, well, just look up the name Wayne Couzens. That says a lot about the police in the UK. I won't say the words here.
To me, hadn't claimed to be stalking me, hadn't done any of these things that would be considered in the realm of criminal. However, the consistent actions, the things he was saying, the things that were happening, the consistency of it, the length of it, were all extremely alarming for me, extremely concerning for me, scary for me, made me worry if somebody was watching me. His behavior put me in fear regardless. So I did what any self-respecting woman would do, and I started looking at the dick pics. Yeah, that's right. I started analyzing all of the photos. And
I wouldn't want to look at his, part. No, not in the slightest.
And that's when things finally started adding up. Most of the photos were heavily blotched out. I know there was one photo.
Sounds like in Darius's case, all the pictures would add up to about 1 inch maximum.
Where he's in typical guy dick pic pose. He's laying down. He's got his dick covering his face like this.
I doubt it's that big.
But in the background, right behind his head, was a picture. That picture was blanked out. So I'm going to assume that picture had something that would clearly say who he was. In others, it would have parts of the background, just blotched out next to, his junk. There was some, however, where things weren't all blacked out. And for anybody who wasn't aware or paying attention to the details, wouldn't have made those connections. In the one picture, the guy was wearing Steelers boxers. I am not a sports fan. I don't follow sports. I am not about that life. I don't care. I go shopping with...
I don't care about sports either. But the only thing I watch is snooker. I certainly wouldn't have any... like some of the decent snooker players, I certainly wouldn't have any boxers with... their names on them. No.
With my cat, and I do animal rescue. That's what I do. So I put Steelers into my mental bank. And as I'm thinking, do I know anybody that likes the Steelers? Is there anybody I know that likes the Steelers enough that they'd have Steelers boxers? And I couldn't think of anyone. But then there was the photo that sealed the deal. The one photo, it was heavily blocked out everywhere else. But in the background of the photo, off just to the very, very edge of the picture, was a bookshelf. And on the bookshelf, I could see what looked like potentially red books or something. So I decided to zoom in on the...
Certainly plenty of red flags from Darius.
The bookshelf. And they weren't books. They were CIB Sega Genesis games. They looked in mint condition. They were very good titles.
Well, he obviously doesn't get out much anyway. So he's got plenty of money to spend on the junk to put in his house.
And then I started to think, who would I know that would have a decent, good condition Sega Genesis collection? And I couldn't think of anyone right away. And I was trying to figure out, who do I know? I've been playing and buying games for years. I have a Sega Genesis collection myself, but I'm not a big Sega Genesis collector. Do I know anybody that is? A lot of the people I knew that had Sega Genesis collections were more recent friends, not friends that I had had over the extent of how long that this person had harassed me. I had to start thinking much older than recently, of course. So I had to start really thinking, who back in the day did I know? So a friend of mine that I know had made a Facebook post, and I hadn't seen her post in a very long time. So I saw the post and I thought to myself, oh shit, I haven't seen this chick in ages. I wonder how she's doing. And it got me thinking of, our friend group, the people we knew. And then that was when it hit me like a ton of fucking bricks. Keith was a Sega Genesis collector. So I decided to look up Keith's Facebook page.
It's amazing when something just makes you think it's them. And they go out of your mind for quite some time, and then they do something outrageous, and you're thinking, Jesus Christ, what's going on in their head? How? And it just hits, as she says, it hits you like a ton of bricks. What goes on in these sick minds?
Remembered his name. I put in a couple variations of his last name just to make sure I was spelling it right. And sure enough, his name pops up, and his banner cover for his Facebook profile is the Steelers. And that is when I really knew that I had potentially found out who had been harassing me for so many years. By this time, not seen or heard from this individual in years. Years. Not only had I not seen or heard from this individual in years, it was years after our friendship that the harassment even started. It was really wild to me why this person would have ended up being the person. And I need to mention, the entire time that he crashed on my couch, he was never disrespectful. There was nothing that led me at that time to believe that this person was off the deep end. Keith was not somebody that I had any form of a relationship with. There was no connection.
I'd say it's always the quiet ones, but then he never seems particularly quiet at times. Well, at least we know from his videos anyway, when he just starts shouting.
Connection whatsoever. Aside from, we were friends in a friend group, we both enjoyed games, and he crashed on my couch for about 3 months. Now things get even more wild. I am not originally from the city I lived in at the time. I am born and raised in Toronto. So I did not grow up in the city that I was living in. However, my ex-husband did. So my ex-husband made a very vague Facebook post, and he was like, hey guys, does anybody know this name? Has anybody heard of this guy? And that was pretty much it. It did not take long at all for the messages to come flooding in. A longtime friend of my ex-husband's had started messaging him stating that his fiance, I believe now wife, I'm not sure, worked at Boston Pizza. And while she worked at Boston Pizza, Keith...
Stop saying pizza, it makes me want a pizza.
...worked in the kitchen. At the time, several of the waitresses were getting harassing.
And like when I worked as a little chef many, many years ago, people who smoke work in kitchens, and they also touch food as well after they've been out for a cigarette.
Messages. They were getting dick pics, inappropriate, explicit pictures sent to them, inappropriate.
So he's sending these pictures to his colleagues who he's working with at the same time, and he doesn't expect repercussions from this?
Messages. And to my knowledge, they eventually found out it was Keith, and Keith was fired from Boston Pizza for sexual harassment. The more I digged on Keith, the more I found out that there was a slew of years of sexual harassment against other women that he was perpetrating online.
God, it all comes out, doesn't it? All the time we've been watching him and his rather amusing videos at the time about the Amico, and he's just getting up to all this kind of shenanigans, this disgusting behaviour. It's just
know if any legal action has ever been taken against him. As mentioned earlier, I went to the police numerous times with the photos and the messages. But again, he wasn't threatening to kill me. He didn't flat out say he was following me, and his messages could be construed as completely just like somebody that just knows me. So I started finding out really disturbing details about Keith. However, it only continues to get crazier.
And now we're on to part 3, the final chapter.
Alright besties, I am back to film the third part. I accidentally deleted the last video like an idiot, so now I'm re-recording it. So let's finalize this story and explain why it is now relevant to my beefy content. After I was absolutely positive that Keith was the person that had been victimizing me, I continued to look into Keith a little more. As I continued to look into Keith more, I noticed that there was a lot of these references to Darius Truxton. So I decided to look into who Darius Truxton was. Darius Truxton is Keith. That is what he goes by on his YouTube account. Darius Truxton is a YouTuber that creates retro game review style videos, but he also has a lot of very angry, ranting, raving, conspiracy, racist, women obsession style videos as well. I was really shocked by the Darius.
I say he just turned into a horrible woman hater, and it just ended up being completely nasty. At first you wonder whether it's like some sort of character, some sort of extreme character, as if thinks he's, I don't know, some sort of shock jock or something. But then you sort of realise over time that no, it's actually him. It's what he actually thinks. It's not a character. It's him.
Darius Truxton videos, he's quite unhinged. He doesn't really seem to have it together. This worried me even more. Now I knew who the person was. I knew that this person's behavior was extreme and that their behavior on...
It says on her video, there are videos all over YouTube about him. Well, this will be one more.
Online is also quite extreme. Not only did I find Keith's online YouTube account with his videos, I also discovered
he's obviously got multiple YouTube accounts because they kept getting taken down.
That Keith has an intense amount of haters. Keith has ops like I've never seen before, and honestly, rightfully so.
I mean, Slotham's one of his haters, but Slotham's just a bigger creep as well. They're both a couple of incel creeps.
So a lot.
And in fact, the incel word certainly applies to Robert E. McPlum.
A lot of the videos that speak out against Keith are in relation to his behavior. I found out that there was a lot of videos posted in relation to Darius Truxton that involved sexual harassment, that involved inappropriate behaviors.
I've not seen those. I'll have to look those up because obviously if there's more to be known about Darius, do I want to know?
That called out his kind of unhinged attitude and behaviors. But not only did I discover all that, but in this process I discovered that Keith had been sharing my name. He had been telling...
That's just disgusting. It's just... I'm not going to say what this Robert E. McPlum's been doing, but it's unhinged, as she says. He's unhinged. He just needs a cold slap, quite frankly.
People that we were in a relationship, that my oldest child was his. I found videos.
Can you imagine having a child with Darius? Good God.
With my name in it. It was just completely fucking crazy. After this point, I started getting messages from other people, messages from somebody who wanted me to put an end to Keith's harassment. And
put an end to Keith?
When I was responding saying, what in the actual, why would you think I could have, number one, that result, and number two, why do you even assume I know Keith? This guy was under the impression that I was Keith's former partner and that I had children with him and had hoped that maybe I could talk some sense into him, I guess.
Similarly, when this Robert E. McPlum was on, I also came across him at that B3TA website, and he had an account. I used to post on there a fair bit. I don't anymore, I haven't done for many, many years. And he would start replying to loads of comments that I'd made on, loads of posts that I'd make. Anytime I made a comment, he would reply to it. And to the point where he said that I was him. So he was telling other people that I was him. To the point where other people believed it. They believed that he was saying that I was him. And whenever I said, no, I'm not him, he's not me, he's just an obsessed stalker creep, they would say, you're lying. You are him. And there's no helping idiots like that. So, I mean, that's a fucking sewer, that is. B3TA, I forget the name of the guy who runs that, but he's a cunt. And if his heart stopped tomorrow, everyone would fucking cheer as well. It's just a whole subset of incels just on one website. You just believing, just all incels together. Just glad they're out of that shithole. What's that guy's name? I'd have to go and look it up, but good God, yeah, the sooner B3CA should just be taken out and nuked from space, quite frankly. And just, yeah, if someone, the things I'd like to say about that website and the guy involved, but I best not, because obviously it's a family-friendly video. But yeah, you can imagine my thoughts.
I have no idea. It got to the point where Random other people were starting to message me. It was very obvious that Keith was sharing details about me, spreading stories about me that weren't true, telling people things that weren't true. I hit a point where I decided I was going to fight fire with fire. He did not stop. Even after I found out who he was, after I called him out, after I told him I knew who he was to fucking stop. It did not stop. This man...
Because he's a fucking stalker. And if I was to try and remonstrate with my stalker, it would just make him do it all the more. I know he's continuing to this day. I've seen it, but I've not commented on anything he's put on anywhere because I can see it still happening. And yeah, if I was to reply to him and comment on him, it would just make him do it 10 times more. But even still, after not conversing with him for months in any sort of form, he just still carries on. Sad. If his heart stopped tomorrow as well, no one would mourn him. Everyone would cheer.
Continues to this day. Last message from a rando that I got and from Keith was yesterday. Yesterday was the last time this man harassed me. So I decided to tell my story to his ops. I decided to send what appropriate screenshots I could. I told my story from front to back. I was at a complete loss and I didn't know what else to do. I was hoping that the story would have been spread far and wide and that Keith would have been embarrassed or called out by it and maybe just left me alone. Obviously, that did not happen. That was 3 or 4 years ago now. Now my beef content is ending up in these various videos. My name is being posted in the comments of these.
Yeah, so he's taking her content and just shoving it and just sort of making, I suppose, memes about it, to put it politely, and just sticking that all over the internet. I've seen times when I've published just normal pictures, maybe on Twitter or whatever, and my stalkers just picked them up and just decided to write some bullshit and turn it into his thing. And it's sick. It's delusional. It's just weird. What the fuck is wrong with these people? They need to be taken out and studied. It's just disgusting. I'm just amazed that there has to be a point where they're really going to piss someone off one day, to the point, locally, to the point where they're just going to fight back, and then the stalker will be no more.
Videos I'm referred to as Keith's girlfriend. It is just so wild to me that somebody would dedicate so much time and effort and obsession to so many years of doing this to somebody while creating their own fantasy world of that person. I don't even know. I'm not a professional. I have no idea what to make of all of it. All I know is that I am a 40-year-old woman and I met this guy when I was 20 years old. And for the better part of, let's say, about 15 years, he has non-stop harassed me. Of course, now that Beef's content is now being utilized in these crazy Darius Truxton videos, Beef's YouTube, Facebook, and of course TikTok pages have now either received comments or messages from weirdos asking me about Darius. So yeah, it's just derailing her content. She just wanted to make nice videos about a cat, and it's just being derailed by idiots wanting to know about Darius when she just wants to talk about a cat. Jesus Christ. I'm here from my own mouth, from my own words, setting the record straight. I do not know Keith aside from what I have already stated. I have not spoken to Keith aside from telling him to leave me the fuck alone in the past 18 years. Darius Truxton, Keith, is a sexual predator. He preys on women. He preys on the reaction. I guess he feels powerful in doing this to women. I don't know. I hope one day he faces legal action for his behavior. His behavior is absolutely fucking unacceptable. Without a doubt. It needs to stop. Somebody needs to get this guy help. Somebody needs to put him in a jail cell. At the end of the day, I am not going to be silent. I will not remain.
Someone needs to just put him in a cave, locked, and just leave him there forever.
Silent. I will be heard. I will speak my truth. I will put an end to this bullshit. I will not have the safe space that I created here for Beef.
I hope she does get an end to it. I thought I'd have an end to mine by now, but no, it still continues. After almost 15 years. It's mad.
Content to be violated by some sick asshole. Beef videos were created to share an amazing cat with the rest of the world because I saw how many people he made happy when we were out. I wanted to utilize this platform and his videos to bring awareness to adoption, to rescue, to TNR, to showing that an adopted cat can be an amazing cat, a rescued cat can be an amazing cat. I wanted there to be positivity from this, and I will not allow this asshole to ruin that for me or for Beef or for Beef's content. I will continue to create Beef content. This will be the last part to this whole story. Thank you so much for all of your Beefy support. Without you guys, we could not continue to spread the awareness that we do, to share Beef with the world, and we absolutely love all of you. Thank you so much, and I truly hope that you guys remain wonderfully beefy forever. Thank you guys for listening.
So there we go. That's I just stopped the video there a second from it ending, just before my video screen fills up with other videos to watch, but I just want to comment on this one for the time being. Yeah, sick individual. I didn't think he'd be anywhere near this bad, or didn't think he'd be like this at all, but I would have thought that more of certain other people. But yeah, just sick, and just so comparison with my own Stalker. I'm flabbergasted. My flabber is well and truly gasted. So I'm going to call time on the video here. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. In the meantime, please like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe if you haven't already, click on the bell for all notifications. Oh, let's hope Q no more Darius.